Alrighty, here is the first installment of emotional reading, and I'm going to start with my favorite series. My favorite book used to be Ella Enchanted, but I must say, after 22 years of, well, I guess being a baby doesn't count, but like 20 years of Ella Enchanted being my favorite book, Transcendent series by Lisa Beeson has taken its place. And as you can see, I've read this a few times. Actually, this isn't even the original copy I bought. This is like my fourth copy because I keep handing it out to people. And funny story, how I came across this book before we get started is I was in the military as military police, and I was stationed in South Korea, and I was put on a security detail with her husband, who's also military police, and he told me about his wife's book, and so I went and bought the online version to read, and I could not put it down. Oh my gosh. I went right through it, got the next one, went right through it, and then I bought the physical copies to be mailed to my home back stateside as well. And absolutely love them, and so that's what we're going to do. I don't know how many chapters we'll do today. I just posted 2 long videos on my other channel, Religiously Reactive, where I read religious texts and react to them. And then this channel, Emotional Reading, is just for storybooks. And Emotional Reading is the title because I tend to get very into the books. I will laugh, cry, all that good stuff. And thought maybe others would enjoy getting immersed with me. It might be a little rough to start. This is the first video, but hopefully y'all enjoy it. And without further ado, let's get started. Okay. As I get more into it, the voices will settle into their characters, but at first it might be a little shaky. There is no possible way to prepare yourself to see your own obituary. But there it was, on the bright computer screen, proving her life was over. Her old life, that is. Kira Riley, 12, of Isle of Hope, Georgia, passed away March 19th. A bright light burnt out too soon. Kira is survived by her adoptive parents, Philip and Teresa Riley, and her siblings Jack, Sadie, and Hector Riley. Her funeral will be held... I feel like I should actually, before we get too far into it, I guess I should give a brief indication of what we're reading. I guess I'll just read the back, because that's what I would do if I was looking into a book. So let me read the back first so you know what you're getting into before we get into it. How far would you go to protect the ones you love? Could you leave them all behind? Kira knew from an early age that she was different, but she learned how to hide behind a mask of normality. She lived an idyllic life with her family and friends in Savannah, Georgia, until she found out that the things that made her unique also put her family at risk. Now she is being hunted down and is forced to leave behind everything she knows and loves. As she attempts to elude her pursuers, she will try to discover who she really is and what she is truly capable of. Will she be run down by the dark forces who want to exploit her abilities? Or will she be able to defy the constraints of the world as she knows them and transcend? Now we'll get back to it. We were in the middle of reading her obituary, and the last line was, her funeral will be held... Her 8th grade school picture stared back at her. Awkward smile, long black hair, dark caramel skin, and big blue eyes. Whenever she had to fill out forms, she would always have to check the other box for her ethnicity. No one knew where her birth parents came from, so opinions on what ethnicity she could be ranged anywhere between Latina to Middle Eastern to mixed race. Her best friend Ainsley had always complained that it wasn't fair that she was as pale as a fish belly, but Kira had a permatan year-round. Kira's sister, Sadie, had always admired Kira's thick, silky mane of long, dark hair. In certain lighting, it had a way of refracting like a raven's wing, with hints of purples and blues. Though it was her eyes that always threw people off. They were a deep, clear blue of glacial lake. Her mom had said that Kira reminded her of an Egyptian queen with Nordic eyes. Ruby had said that she would take care of everything, but she must really be connected to be able to convince everyone Kira was dead without a body for evidence. Seeing the obituary on the screen in front of her made it all too real. She could never go back now. That chapter of her life was over. Kira Riley was no more. Her heart constricted painfully as tears threatened to spill from her eyes. She quickly wiped them away while taking deep breaths to steady herself. Now was not the time to have a meltdown. She had to get out of here before someone noticed she was looking at the obituary of a girl that looked identical to her. Emotional people attract attention, and that was the last thing she needed. After clicking offline and erasing the web history of the floor model computer she was using, she grabbed the gray generic backpack and mirrored aviator sunglasses she picked up on her way through the store to get to the electronics department. Making her way back to the front of the store, she decided to pick up a Gatorade, a bag of jerky, and a large pair of metal scissors. Avoiding eye contact, but walking confidently, she decided the self-checkout would be the best choice. The least amount of direct contact with people would make it easier to disappear. She couldn't do anything about the security cameras, but as long as she didn't act suspicious, she wouldn't raise any red flags. Using the prepaid credit card Ruby had given her, she quickly bought and bagged her items, then nonchalantly joined a group of giggling girls going into the woman's bathroom. Ignoring the girls as they admired themselves in the mirror and gushed over the latest gossip at school, she went straight for the handicapped stall. Slipping off her old red backpack, she started moving all her stuff over to the new gray one. Everything she had fit in the world fit into one backpack. Well, that's depressing. She waited for the girls to leave before coming out of the stall, and then threw away the old red backpack in the large trash can. Taking out the scissors, she took a deep, bracing breath as she looked at Kira Riley one last time in the mirror. Her long, dark hair was one of her most defining features. The long tresses reached down to her lower back. She couldn't remember the last time she had cut it. Grabbing a large chunk of hair from the side of her head, her heart sped up as she brought the scissors up, ready to cut through. Telling herself that hesitating would only make it worse, Kira knew she couldn't waste any more time. She just had to suck it up and get it over with. Goodbye, Kira. Scrunching her eyes closed, she cut her way through the clump of hair, moving upwards towards the ceiling. When the hand holding the hair came away from her head, she opened her eyes. Oh, crap! That's way shorter than I intended, she thought with a sinking dread. Maybe closing my eyes was a bad idea. Just then, someone walked in. She looked to be in her early 20s, with pink hair styled up like an old-fashioned pinup girl, facial piercings, and sleeves of tattoos running up both arms. Stopping short, her mouth falling open, the girl stared as she tried to figure out the bizarre scene in front of her. "Good Lord, girl, what are you doing?" she gasped. Kira quickly tried to think of an excuse to explain why she was in a Weimar bathroom, haphazardly chopping off her hair. One that would satisfy a chick with pink hair, facial piercings, and alternative clothing. Teenage rebellion? She tossed out hopefully. The chick thought it over for a second, but then her face filled with understanding. She nodded slowly and began walking towards Kira. "Look, I get it," she said while cautiously coming closer. "I'm all about using your hair for self-expression," she sympathized as she gently extracted the scissors from Kira's hands and then held them up, accusingly. "But kitchen scissors?" she said, as though Kira had committed some horrible sacrilege. "It was all I had. Kira shrugged off. The chick lightly tapped the handles of the scissors against her lips as she contemplated the strange girl in front of her. Then she nodded. Okay, I can salvage this. She gently ran her fingers through Kira's thick hair as though inspecting it. I'm a hairstylist. Well, almost a hairstylist. I'm this close to getting my license, she said, pinching her fingers close together. I'm good. Don't worry. My friends beg me to do their hair all the time. All I have to do is run out to my car and get my stuff. This was already taking longer than Kira had anticipated. She needed to get back on the road. Noticing the younger girl looking hesitant, the chick argued, Look, this will benefit both of us. I get to practice, and you get to not look like an escaped mental patient. Win-win. She smiled hopefully as she guided Kira's chin towards the reflection in the mirror. Geez, she's right, I do look crazy. Jacked up hair would be almost as bad as wearing a sign that said, Look at me! She had always had an innate ability to sense people's intentions, and there was nothing malicious or calculating in this chick's motivations. She just genuinely wanted to cut the hair of the crazy girl she found in the Bi-Mart bathroom. Kira gave an amused sigh and then relented. Okay, go for it. But it's gotta be fast. My mom's going to be done shopping soon, she lied. When the chick smiled, the piercings in her cheeks made it look like she had dimples. She gave a gleeful jump and clapped her hands together. Awesome! You won't regret it. Let me go get my stuff real quick. She turned to go, but then quickly turned back. Don't go anywhere. Stay right there, she cautioned as if to a small child. And don't you dare touch your hair till I get back. Promise? Kira smiled and then crossed her heart with her finger. I promise. The chick nodded and then turned and ran out the door. A second after the door swung closed behind her, it busted back open, and she stuck her head back in. I'm Mandy, by the way, she said quickly, and then ducked back out, not waiting for a reply. After the door closed a second time, Kira picked up her stuff and decided to wait for Mandy back in the handicap stall before anyone else came in and saw her. Kira figured she would have to get used to her new identity of Ariana Reyes, now that Kira Riley was officially dead. The future gaped in front of her like a large, mysterious void. Had it really only been 5 days since her whole world had been turned upside down? She'd had a family, a home, and a bright future ahead of her, and now? Who knows what's in store for her? She knew it was her dad that had put in that bit in the obituary about her being a bright light being burnt out too soon. He had always seen greatness in her, even when she was a weird little kid that didn't speak and blocked herself off from the world. He had said that he could see so much potential in her, and that all she needed was some time to work things out and make sense of the world. Once you do, there'll be no limit to what you can accomplish. God, I miss him so much. To fight off the panic and heartbreak that was threatening to consume her, she brought her thoughts back to thinking about her new name. She needed to be comfortable enough with it so that she would answer to it when called. That made her think about when she and her best friends would joke around and call each other by their names spelled backwards. Nate was Atan, and Ainsley was Yelznia. Kira was Arik, but Nate said it was pronounced Ari because the K was silent. He always playfully teased her about being so quiet and low-key around everyone except her close friends and family. She had never liked being the center of attention. It almost felt ingrained in her to keep under the radar. He had also taken out the K because when she first started school, she was quiet and socially awkward, and the mean kids started calling her Special K. So like most mean nicknames, it had stuck. That is, until her brother Hector cold-cocked some boys that were taunting her in that sing-song way the kids do. After that, they only referred to her as Special K in whispers behind her back. Since Ari could be short for Ariana, she felt confident that she could get used to it quickly. So, Ari it is. The bathroom door burst open, snapping her back to reality. She came out of the stall to see Mandy closing and locking the door behind her. Noticing Kira raise her eyebrows questioningly, she explained, "It's all right. I found one of those janitor signs that say not to come in because they're cleaning, so we can do this nice and quick with no one bothering us." Putting her case of scissors and combs on the counter, she picked out a comb and started running it through Kira's hair. "So what exactly were you going for?" she asked. When she saw Kira's blank stare, she laughed. "You don't even know, do you?" Looking back at her reflection in the mirror, Kira realized that it would have to be dramatic. "Go big or go home," as Hector always said. A spike of pain pierced her heart as she realized her big brother wouldn't be there to have her back anymore. Not letting her thoughts go down that route, she shook her head and said, "I want something that'll make me look totally different." She looked over at Mandy's reflection in the mirror. Kira was almost as tall as her, but whereas Mandy was pleasantly curvy, she was skinny and childish. "And if you can, I want to look older, too." Mandy gave her a knowing grin, thinking this probably had something to do with impressing some older boy. Let her think what she wants. All that matters is if she can pull it off. Mandy squinted in contemplation as she walked around inspecting Kira from different angles. Then with a clap she announced, "I know just what to do. You don't mind if we go super short, do you?" "Do what you want." "Ha ha! Yay, you're fun," Mandy beamed, accentuating her pierced dimples. She grabbed a hair tie and combed Kira's hair back into a low ponytail at the base of her neck. "The first cut is always the hardest, but since you already did that, this should just feel liberating." And with a couple of snips, the majority of her hair came away with the ponytail. Her head immediately felt lighter. Some of the weight of her old life lifting away from her shoulders with the weight of her severed hair. "Okay, get your hair wet while I go set up my salon," Mandy instructed, while gathering her stuff and moving towards the handicap stall. After taking off her hoodie and making sure her hair was sufficiently wet, she joined Mandy in the stall. Mandy had her tools out and ready to go, and had spread trash bags on the floor around the toilet. "I found a roll of them behind the trash can. It should make cleanup much easier." Mandy placed a plastic smock around Kira's shoulders and then guided her over to the toilet to sit down, positioning her sideways on the seat so she could get behind her. "You're going to have to turn when I say, since I can't spin the chair around," she explained, and then got down to business. Mandy wasn't one of those chatty hairstylists. She focused all her attention on the task at hand, which suited Kira just fine. The less lies she had to tell, the better. When Mandy was done, she swished the hair in front a couple of times to see if it lay right. Then, when she deemed it perfect, she dramatically removed the plastic smock and said, "Voila! Go look in the mirror." Stepping over the clumps of hair on the floor, Kira made her way to the mirror over the sinks. She didn't recognize the person staring back at her. When Mandy said short, she meant short. The cut was asymmetrical, with it shorter on the side Kira had butchered earlier. The back was cut in short layers down to the nape of her neck. It was longer on top and in the front. Mandy had parted it on the right, and her long bangs swept forward towards the left. The longer pieces could be tucked behind her ear, and the shorter pieces of her bangs slightly covered her left eye. She had to admit that she did look older, and somehow taller. She was completely transformed. "Hello, Ari." After she finished cleaning up in the stall, Mandy came up behind her, hiding her smile behind her hands. "Well, do you like it?" she asked nervously. Ari turned around to embrace her. "It's perfect, thank you." Mandy gave her a squeeze, then pulled back, idly sweeping Ari's bangs behind her ear. "I knew this would work. You have one of those faces that can pull off anything." Ari went to go get her back so she could leave, but Mandy stopped her. "Wait, can I take your picture?" Ari looked up in alarm. She couldn't have her picture floating around the internet. She was supposed to be dead. Noting the girl's discomfort, Mandy quickly added, "Look, you can cover your face with your hands if you want. I just want a picture of your hair for my portfolio." Ari thought about it and figured as long as her face was covered, it shouldn't be a problem. "All right, I guess it's the least I can do." "Awesome," Mandy said while pulling her phone out from her purse. Ari covered her face while Mandy took the pictures. When she was done, she put her phone back and started packing up her stuff. Laughing to herself, she admitted, "I have to say, this is not how I saw my milk run going." She looked over at Ari and gave her a wink. Ari put her hoodie back on and took the mirrored sunglasses out of the gray backpack. Before slipping them on, she said, "Seriously, Mandy, I really appreciate this." Oh no! I had it perfectly set. I don't know if I'll be able to do it again. Ah! Hey, no sweat, sweetie. I mean, I don't usually go around giving random people haircuts in public bathrooms, she said with a laugh, but it just felt like the right thing to do. Ari gave her a smile and a nod, and then put the aviators on. Unlocking the bathroom door, she turned back to Mandy. "Good luck with everything," she said with an awkward wave. Then she pushed through the door, leaving a different person from when she had come in. As she exited the store, Ari did a quick scan of the parking lot, searching for anyone paying close attention to her. Everyone seemed normal, so she made her way down one of the rows, heading for the fast food places across the main road. She figured she could spare a couple bucks for a burger. The greasy smells wafting over on the breeze were making her stomach cramp with hunger. It was then that she saw him. She should have spotted him sooner, but her hunger had distracted her. She mentally kicked herself for not eating more regularly so this sort of thing wouldn't happen. She had been warned never to let her guard down. The sunglasses were doing their job. He hadn't noticed her looking at him. This one must be new. He didn't have any signs of decay yet, just the start of a sickly paleness that made people mistake them for drug addicts or wannabe vampires, but Ari knew exactly what he was. A shade. The red ring around his irises, the dark aura that apparently only Ari could see, gave him away. She felt sorry for the poor guy the shade had taken over, but there was nothing she could do about it. Once the shade went in, the human soul was cast out. It was a lost cause. Forcing herself to move forward at a normal pace and trying to control her rising heart rate was proving increasingly difficult the closer she came to passing by him. Normal people couldn't see the dark aura that surrounded the shades, but sometimes they could feel it. That creepy feeling that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Though to Ari, it felt more like when two magnets repel each other, like a physical push against her that made her sick to her stomach. The closer she got, the harder it was to control the panic and fear arising within her. She had to get a grip. Whenever she felt strong emotions, it ended up affecting the people around her, and it almost always attracted trouble. He was in the next rows of cars over from her, leaning on the back of an old Taurus. He took a long drag from a clove cigarette, the kind that you can smell a mile away and coats the back of your throat. Shades like to possess human bodies so they can experience the delights of the physical world. They feed off dark emotional energy like fear, lust, and anger. Once they have a body, their hobbies were usually vices and other unsavory activities. Ari was almost past him, and he still hadn't noticed her. She was almost in the clear. That's when a mother and three obnoxiously loud children got out of a minivan 2 parking spots down from the shade. They were going to walk right by him on their way to the store. The mom's attention was on trying to keep the 2 older boys from pummeling each other over a toy, while the youngest, a little girl with bright red hair, was skipping behind, oblivious to the world around her. She reminded Ari of what Ainsley might have looked like when she was little. If the little family had been paying attention, they would have seen the cringe-inducing leer that the shade gave. Take a moment. If the little family had been paying attention, they would have seen the cringe-inducing leer that the shade had given the girl as she skipped by. Ari felt his dark intentions like a foul miasma creeping towards her. Every nerve in Ari's body screamed in protest at the evil things that monster wanted to do to the little girl. He put out the cigarette on the back of the car and made as though he was about to follow them. "No!" she screamed inside her head. His head snapped around to look right at Ari. Crap, crap, crap. His eyes widened as he solicitously sniffed the air in her direction. It was as though he could smell the fear she had for the little girl. Ari's emotions were on overdrive, and it seemed to be affecting him like a drug. He was getting high off her fear. She had distracted him from the little girl. Good. But now all his attention was on her. Bad. Time to run. Ari thought about tapping into her inner energy that allowed her to run and jump like an Olympian on crack, but she didn't like to use it since it drained her energy like a bad sugar crash. She was pretty athletic normally, so she decided that she'd only use it as a last resort. Like a predator sensing when its prey is about to flee, the Shade licked his cracked lips, then shot forward between the two cars that were between him and Ari. Ari turned and dashed down the road towards the main road. Ducking and zigzagging through the cars, she tried to put enough distance between them to throw him off her scent. Fortunately for her, Shades weren't known for their athletic prowess. Their decadent lifestyles were to thank for that. She could hear his feet slapping against the pavement as she put distance between them. Quickly ducking between a couple of cars towards the end of the lot, she slid down on her stomach, then rolled under an SUV to stay out of sight. She heard him calling out to her. Come out, little kitten. Don't you want to be my special little pet?" Gross. Judging from where his voice came from, he was at least 2 rows away from her. He had lost her. Good. "I'm going to find you," he sang out like he was playing some kind of demented game of hide-and-go-seek. Not a chance, sicko. Arya looked out from under the SUV and saw that there was a gas station at the back of the lot near the main road. There was a red Ford pickup truck parked at one of the pumps, and it had a canvas tarp draped over the back, protecting whatever was in the bed of the truck. The truck owner put the gas cap back on and then went inside to pay or get snacks. Perfect. "Here, kitty kitty," the Shade taunted. Now or never. To avoid being spotted by the Shade, Ari rolled out from under the SUV and crouch-walked between the cars. There was still a good distance between Ari and the red truck. If she wanted to get there without being seen, there was only one thing she could do. Taking a deep breath, she tapped into her inner energy and then sped across the distance towards the truck. Whenever she went into what she called hyperspeed mode, Ari felt like she was in one of those action movies where everything goes into slow motion around her. It only took a second or two to make it over to the truck. Reaching the back, she lifted up a section of the tarp and quickly climbed into the bed of the truck underneath. She knelt down under the tarp, next to what looked like random pieces of scrap metal, copper pipes of various sizes, and an old red and white barbershop pole. Crossing fingers that I don't get tetanus back here. To protect her hands, she stuffed them into the sleeves of her hoodie and cleared a space to lie down. She was starting to get that drained battery feeling she got after tapping into her abilities. Pulling out the bottle of Gatorade and the jerky from her bag, she downed both in about 5 seconds. Knowing she'd be useless for a while, she laid down, using her backpack as a pillow. She was able to stay awake long enough to hear the truck owner get into the driver's seat and start the engine. As the truck pulled out of the gas station and onto the main road, Ari welcomed the deep, dreamless sleep that overtook her. And that was chapter 1. I think since that took about 30 minutes, I think we'll do this in single chapter segments. So that was chapter 1. I'm going to take a quick break, douse the dry throat here, and I think I'll then film chapter 2. And hopefully we'll get a couple chapters posted to the channel. Hopefully that was enough of a taste to keep you coming back. Really, it's already good, but it just gets better. And there's, let's see, the books in the series. There's Transcendent. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness, my mind, where is it at? Oh, I don't recall what the others are called at the moment. I've read all of them so often, but I'll just tell you later, I guess. So thank you for joining me on chapter 1 of Transcendent by Lisa Beeson. And hopefully you'll be here for chapter 2.